In this section, we're going to be talking about how to make the earpieces. First, what you want to do is grab the earpiece wire, and you're going to find two pieces that are pretty similar in length. You can put them on the table just like this and grab a couple that are pretty close in length. If they're not exact, not a big deal. All you have to do is put them on the table like that, and you can just take a quick clip like this. One of the things too is you want to keep your hand over when you're clipping the wires, because these little pieces, when they come out of those pliers, they could actually hit somebody in the eye and actually injure them. So just make sure for safety purposes you keep that covered up. You clip them like that, and then they're the same length, okay? So we got a couple pieces of couple earpieces that are the same length. The first thing we're going to do is grab our PVC here, and we're going to cut a couple of pieces for the ear frame here. In between the jig, these two boards in the middle, that's the length of the earpieces. So from here to here, you put the earpiece on one end and you cut it. It doesn't have to be exact. Clip it like that, and then you can grab the end here once you got one of them cut, and just make sure that they're the same length, just like this, and cut. So now we got two pieces that are the same length. Okay, grab our earpieces one at a time. We're going to put the PVC on the end of the earpiece, okay? And sometimes the machine that we have in the shop that actually cuts the wire, it's not a really sharp cut, it just kind of clips them. So you might have a little bit of a burr on the end of it that'll keep this PVC from going on. I just now clipped the ends of them, so I know it's going to go on, but I do want to mention that. Always be aware, if something's not quite fitting right or going on the end, just clip the end of that wire, and or look for a burr first and then clip the end of it, and it should be going on pretty good after that. So once you get the PVC on the end of the wire, you notice one end of the wire is stamped and one end of the wire is not. You want to put the PVC on the end that's not stamped. Once you get it on that end, you push it over the stamp, and that stamp is what holds the piece of PVC onto the wire, just like that. Okay. We'll go ahead and do the second one here. This is the stamped end, and this is the end without the stamp. We're going to start just like this. Get that on there. Whoops. There we go. And kind of, if you turn it as you're putting it on there, like spin it, that usually helps it quite a bit. So just like that. And then you're going to push it over that stamp just like that. Push, push, and then get it right at the end. And then you got your two pieces of wire just like that. Grab one piece, and again, we're doing this in the pliers. Don't use the tapered end, and make sure you don't put it in the end that you're cutting with. You want to get it right in that flat area, the end without the PVC, non-stamped, and put it right to the end of the pliers, the width of the pliers in that flat area, and make a bend. You don't want it not quite 90 degrees. You want it just under 90 degrees. See, it's not quite square. You want to do that for both of them, just like this. Grab it again. I'm going to reiterate, don't grab the wire out here. Always grab it up close and do a quick bend just like that. Not quite 90 degrees. So you got the two just like that. All right, so what you want to do now is you're going to grab a piece of your scrap wire. This wire is usually extra. Once you start making glasses, you're going to have quite a few of these. Grab one of them, and you're going to insert it into the hole that's furthest away from you, okay? And again, if it doesn't go in that hole, just clip off the end a little bit, and it should go right in there. Make sure that when you put it in that it's all the way down. Grab your pliers and just kind of bang on it and make sure that it's all the way down in there. You got to make sure that it's completely down in that hole. So grab one of your earpieces just like this, and you're going to put it in the opposite hole, okay? Just like that. And again, make sure that it's all the way down in there. You don't want it sticking up at all, because that will cause problems. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our wooden bender here. The wooden bender, it's the one with the screws all over it. The part we're going to be using is right on the flat side here. There's two little screws. There's also in the center, there's a little piece of metal, stainless steel inside of that. And we're going to place that right over this wire that's sticking up. Right over the center, and push it all the way down just like that. And we're going to take this and we're going to spin it clockwise. One earpiece, you're going to use the clockwise motion, and for the other earpiece, when we start that one, we're going to use counterclockwise. Doesn't matter which one you do first, as long as you do both. So what we'll do is you move it around until it stops, just like that, and then we're going to bring it over to what I like to call the 0 point. There's an imaginary, what I like to imagine is a wall right here, and that's where our 0 point stops. So we're going to push the wire evenly on both sides all around like that, so it's even with this part of the jig. So the earpiece stops right there, and then we're going to make 5 revolutions all the way around, and we'll start here at 0, and you want to keep this push down and level. You don't need to put too much pressure on it. It'll guide itself automatically. You just need to spin it. So we'll go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Another thing you'll need to notice, even if I bring this back there, the earpiece back to 0, it's going to want to push back a little bit, and you want to make sure that you're going to have to bring it past 0 just a little bit, and that'll make sure that it stops right at 0. You see there? Right at 0. So we'll pull that one off. There's one of our earpieces. Grab the other one here. So we did that one clockwise, so we're going to do this one counterclockwise. Grab that once again, put that piece right in the center over it, and we're going to turn it around until it stops, just like we did that other one. And we'll bring it to this point right here, where the jig, the 0 point, and that's 0, and we'll do 5 revolutions. This time I'm just going to use, I normally like to use one hand. Sometimes people find it easier to do it with 2 hands, and that's fine. But for me, one hand is easier. I just use my finger just to spin it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember to bring that a little bit past that 0 point so it gets right where it needs to be. And you should have another nice coil. Right here, you got a little bit of a gap right there. So I'm just going to take my pliers and squeeze that just like that. So now we have one right earpiece and one left earpiece, okay? Next thing we want to do is we're going to clip off this piece here that extends out, okay? What I like to do is put it in the cutting part of it. Make sure you're inside this cutting part of the pliers, and you flat up against the wire just like that. So it's going straight up, the wire's going straight up, and this piece is kind of going into the pliers. I'll show you from this angle like that. And you want to make sure that if it's in this flat part, you're not going to get the cut. So you want to make sure that move it back far enough so you can cut it, and you're not going to, the pliers aren't going to get stopped because that wire is actually in this flat part. And I'll show you what I mean here, just like this. So if you got it way up, you're going to squeeze and squeeze, and it's not going to snap, and you're going to be frustrated. Just push it all the way back like that, all the way back at the end, and then when you squeeze, just like that, it'll cut right off. And that's what you want right there, just that tiny little, you don't want to cut it too short. If you cut it too short, you're going to have to start all over again. Just enough to where that burr is sticking out. And then to know that you've cut it the right length, you can put it in this hole right here. This hole is specifically for that. You put it in there. If it fits, if you got a little piece sticking out and it still fits in this hole, you just stick it all the way in there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create the bend that goes behind the ear. So we do it. Bend it just like that, and there's the right earpiece. So now we're going to go on this one. Same thing on this one, except this one's pointing down instead of up on the pliers, but it's the same exact position. Put it in there just like so. You're going to squeeze it, and you got a little burr there. You put it in here. If it doesn't fit, you may have a little bit too much on there, and all you do, just clip off a little bit at a time. Don't clip off a bunch more, because then it'll ruin it and you're going to have to start all over again, like I said. So put it in here just like so. Make sure it's flat. Make that bend just like that. You can grab them both, put them up against each other, and make sure that they both look the same, and they do. Looks really, really good. And those are your earpieces.